In the late 80s and early 90s, the company Human Entertainment developed a few games for the NES and may have the most diverse resume of games you could imagine. They developed Gilligan's Island, Kabuki Quantum Fighter, Michael Andretti's World Grand Prix, Dance Aerobics, the ever-elusive to collectors Stadium Events, and today's game, Monster Party, just to name a few. Moving beyond the NES, Human Entertainment was also known for their Fire Pro Wrestling series, the Clock Tower games, and other random standouts like F1 Pole Position, SOS, and The Fireman on Super Nintendo. The company later went defunct in January of 2000. I guess Y2K got them. Enough of Human Entertainment, how about some Monster Entertainment? What's up with Monster Party on the NES? As the story goes, a boy named Mark is on his way home from playing baseball with his bat in hand. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he's approached by a winged gargoyle alien whose name is hilariously Bert. Since Mark is the first person Bert encounters, he tries to enlist Mark's help in a great battle in another dimension. Naturally, Mark is a little reluctant to give a hand. After all, this is a giant winged alien gargoyle propositioning a young boy out of nowhere. But Bert calmly explains that anyone could help, and Mark's bat will be as good a weapon as any. So Bert whisks Mark through to the dark world and fuses himself with Mark so they become one being. With me so far? So as Mark, you essentially move left to right on the screen, taking out monsters with your bat. The first stage sets the tone. As you're walking along a whimsical fantasy land, the world suddenly changes to a dark and ghastly hellscape right before your eyes. It's a pretty neat effect. Every level is littered with a number of bosses, and in order to advance to the next level, you have to defeat a certain number of those bosses. The order isn't really important, you just need to defeat enough of them to get the key to exit. You'll find the bosses by entering doorways you come across. Some are busts and have nothing in them, others have cryptic clues or messages, and the rest have bosses that range from scary to just plain weird. This game really is a monster party. There are horror tropes from all walks of life scattered throughout the levels. There are mummies, upside-down pants, spiders, zombies, medusas, dragons, and a Grim Reaper. Those are just the ones I can identify. Others are said to stem from Japanese urban legends and folklore like human-faced dogs. There are even random things that I'm pretty sure aren't derived from any existing work of horror, like walking plants, fried shrimp, or talking caterpillars. A key mechanic of the game is using Mark's bat to ricochet projectiles back at enemies. It's a little trickier than it looks, and it really does depend on timing and angle to get the perfect shot to go back. With some practice you'll get the hang of it, and it really is kind of fun to do. Not every boss shoots projectiles though, so you might have to just get up in their grill and whack away. You can also use the ground to your advantage. Some bosses who bounce around can't hurt you if you're in a prone position. As you defeat enemies, some will drop life replenishing hearts, and others will drop pills. In addition to letting kids know that it's okay to go with strangers in the night, this game also suggests taking random pills you find lying around to become stronger. The pills transform you into Bert for a short duration. Bert can fly a bit and shoot projectiles, so he's great against bosses or getting through tougher parts of stages. Level to level, Bert's beam attack increases in power and is much stronger than Mark's bat, so you'll want to get the most out of him. There are 8 total stages and a final boss, the Dark World Master. Most levels will require you to find and defeat multiple bosses, except for the 6th level, which is a giant frustrating maze. This might be where the game turns most people away. The maze is pretty tough to navigate on top of dealing with weather phenomena and flying tables and chairs. The game's difficulty ramps up toward the end, especially at the maze level and the ones that follow. It isn't insurmountable as long as you use Bert wisely, and in some levels, just know you don't have to defeat each and every boss. Keep that in mind. If one is giving you guff, try skipping it, you may not even need to fight it. The game has a multitude of different bosses, a fun bat mechanic, and a fun Bert mechanic, and plenty of horror tropes to keep it fresh and interesting. The character sprites, soundtrack, and backgrounds do make the game feel a little cheap. The level layouts are overly simplistic, say for the maze level, and the themes in the game vary so rapidly between hellish and dark environs to space heaven? From fighting giant spiders and other vile enemies to a bouncing onion ring? It feels like it was just a bunch of ideas duct taped together. The game does have infinite continues and a password system, so that's nice, as seriously, you might want to sleep on that maze stage before the final stanza to the finish. If you want a silly style adventure to quench your Halloween vibes, give it a shot. It's not perfect, but it has enough unique twists to make it stand out in the NES library. While seemingly an underwhelming NES platformer, Monster Party has built quite the legacy over the years. A prototype of the game's Japanese version caught popularity when some images surfaced that showed the original concept in a different light. It was originally supposed to be darker and bloodier and was apparently censored for US release, but never actually released in Japan. This could explain why there are silly enemies sprinkled in throughout, and all the dripping blood on the intro screen was converted to green slime. It sounds like a very Nintendo thing to do. The first boss, the plant, also had a microphone and speaker in the prototype, which could have been changed so to not be as obviously influenced by Little Shop of Horrors. A prototype version of the Japanese game sold for $6,000 back in 2011. Yikes. Well, that does it for Monster Party on the NES. Look out for fried foods, and thanks for watching.